Sia from Lightning English, and I hope you're here to join me for a live lightning lesson. Today's topic is what is it? I don't have anyone to practice with. I'm going to repeat that because I think my voice did something weird there. I don't have anyone to practice with. And of course, this isn't me saying this. This is one of the most common excuses that I hear from people when they tell me why they haven't been working on their English or why they're not practicing. And so I'm going to talk about that a bit today. But before I get into that, I wanted to just share a couple of things with you. One is that I am in week one of my English bootcamp course. I have some wonderful participants joining me on this, and I want a little shout out to my 5 participants in the English bootcamp course. We're having a lot of fun together, and I'm really enjoying sharing everything I know about the lightning practice method, everything that I've developed, and all of my secrets and tips and tricks. And you guys look out because you're going to be getting bonuses this week, and lots of fun things are happening. If you want to join the course, you'll have to stay tuned because it's not open right now. For the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be focused on the students that I have, and you'll have to wait until next time to join. But if you're here live, and I see there are a couple of people here live, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and say hi in the comments so I can see who's here. I can only see that there are 2 people unless you write something in the comments so I know you're there. And of course, if you're here live and you have any questions, go ahead and post those in the comments as well, and I'll get to them at the end. So, like I said, one of the most common excuses or the common reasons why people don't practice is they say because they don't have anyone to practice with. So, I will just put it up there. Yeah. So, I'll say, well, why don't you work on improving your English? And I hear, but I don't have anyone to practice with. If you have been following me for any amount of time, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm going to say to this. Can any of you write in the comments what you think I'm going to say about this, about not having anyone to practice with? Um, but yeah, I think there's a bit of a delay, so I can't see the comments yet. The thing is, if you're looking for someone else to practice with, then what you're actually looking for is not practice. You're looking for performance. Okay. I keep giving the examples recently of playing tennis. It's nice because it's back and forth, just like an English conversation. So when you want to go and practice your tennis, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can either play a match with someone else, but that's not really practice. That's performance. You're trying to win, you're trying to do the best you can, you're trying not to make any mistakes. That's performance. What you want to do before that, before you go to try and play a match with someone, you have to practice. You have to have some time where there's no one on the other side. You're just hitting the ball to see if you're holding the racket right, see if you're getting the right movement, and you do it wrong again and again, and you don't worry about your mistakes because it's not about the result. It's about the action of doing it. So let's look at your English. When you're practicing your English, you need some time every day where you're not focused on the result. You're not focused on pronouncing everything perfectly or having someone else understand you. You're not focused on understanding what someone else is saying because that's also performance. If you're working to understand, it's like they're performing and you're the audience, but it's still a performance of your English. You're performing your language skills when you're trying to understand. So if you're reading a book and you're trying to understand it, then that's performance. If you want to read that book for practice, what you need to do is stop trying to understand. Okay? So practice is really about just doing the activity without any judgment and without a focus on understanding. I'm not saying that you won't understand, especially if you keep practicing. You'll get to the point where you can't read English without understanding. But that understanding won't be because you translate it in your head. If you practice without focusing on understanding, you can actually turn off that voice in your head or that monologue in your head that takes everything that you get in English and translates it to your native language. I'm sure if you analyze this, if you're having problems with fluency in English, then you'll realize that when you try to understand something, What's actually happening is you're reading or listening in English, and then inside your head, you're translating it into your own language. You need to stop doing that. That's not how you get fluent. You can't take everything you read, translate it, now understand it, think about it in your own language, translate it back to English, and let it come out. That's what's stopping your fluency right now. So the practice that you need to do has to stop the understanding. Because right now, when you say understanding, you actually mean translation. And that's stopping your fluency. So in lightning practice, you out the understanding and you just focus on the reading or the speaking. That way, if you're not trying to understand, you can turn off that internal monologue, that internal translator, the simultaneous translation in your head, and really just read English. And very soon, not long into this practice, you start seeing pictures in your head. You start kind of understanding directly from English. And that is such a cool feeling. And I want you to have this feeling. So you have to spend some time every day. 5 minutes is enough, just practicing reading out loud in English without focusing on understanding. Okay. So not having someone to practice with is not at all a good reason for you to not practice, because you should be, like in tennis, hitting the ball up against the wall. That's the equivalent. The other thing is that when you're in a performance situation, there's a bit of stress involved. If someone else is listening to you, even if it's a friend, whether it's one person, whether it's a lot of people, whatever, as soon as you're in that situation, you're under stress. That stress causes hormones to release in your body. Those hormones block some of your skills. So your ability to speak English is reduced. Yeah, your ability to recall the words that you know, the grammar that you know, kind of just flies out the window under stress. And of course, the more stress, the bigger the audience, or the more important the conversation is, the more you lose of your English. So if you get into the habit of practicing daily, especially speaking practice, writing practice, what happens is you get your brain gets used to this. And just like an athlete gets muscle memory, like, when dancers go up on stage, they practice so much that for the performance, it's not about remembering, okay, now on one, I do this, on two, I do that. You're not trying to remember choreography. By the time they get to performance, it's muscle memory. Their body knows what to do. If you practice your English daily, you actually get muscle memory in your speaking. Your mouth knows what to do. Your tongue, your throat knows what to do. Your brain starts to know what to do when you have a thought in English. So, practice makes performance easier. Okay. And I want you to remember that when you practice by yourself, you're making the performance easier. So, I want you to understand this, because people often ask me, well, should I stop practicing English with other people? That is not what I'm saying. I definitely don't want you to stop practicing with friends. I don't want you to stop having English conversations with other people, because just like a tennis player practices with tennis matches against friends, or even just hitting the ball back and forth, it's also good for your practice. So definitely do that. If you can find other people to speak English with, go ahead, do that. It's really good for your English, but you also need the practice on your own. So they're not one or the other, they help each other. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can go ahead and write in the comments. I've been going on Clubhouse recently. Clubhouse is an app, and at the moment, it's only available to iPhones. But it's a live chat, a live talking, voice, audio, social media. And so you can look for me on Clubhouse. I am at Lightning Crescia. And you can find me on Clubhouse. And I know there are a lot of people there having conversations in English and practicing together. And I encourage you to join those conversations. If you follow me, you can see when those conversations come up because they come up on my feed as well. I want you to go out there and practice both on your own and with other people. But the most important is the practice that you do on your own. So I'm Chrisia here at Lightning Lessons. And you can follow me on Lightning English. And I hope you join my Facebook group, Lightning Practice, where I'll give you tips and other information about improving your English through daily practice. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.